I'm Anastasia Ellis.
I'm Alexi Moon Cassell, aka Crescent Moon, and this is
Voices in the Back. Over the next few weeks, we'll be having conversations with BIPOC Minnesota artists on the topic of racial issues, and at the end, a performance.
We'd like to thank all our sponsors for their support.
Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter using our handle @VoicesInTheBack.
What's up? My name is Alexi Moon Cassell.
And I'm Anastasia Ellis.
Welcome to Voices in the Back. We have with us the one and only Tish Jones. Tish, thank you so much for being here.
What's happening? Thanks for having me.
How you feeling?
I'm good, yo. I'm glad to be here. Yeah. Excited.
You introduce yourself, say a little bit about what you do, and how have you been finding light during the pandemic and everything that's been going on?
Word. So my name is Tish Jones. I am a poet, organizer, educator, born and raised in St. Paul, Minnesota. I'm an auntie. I think that's like my pride and joy in life right now, is that I'm an auntie. And I am the founder and executive director of an arts and cultural organization called TruArtSpeaks. Our work looks at the intersection of art, civic engagement, youth development, and liberation, with an emphasis on doing all of that through hip-hop and cultural praxis. Let's see, light through the pandemic. Light through the pandemic is an interesting thing, yo. I think that the light that I've seen in the pandemic is more like a light bulb, and not necessarily the kind of light that I think, you know what I mean, like peace, love, and light. It's not that kind of light. It's like, oh, ding, 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 light bulb went off, you know what I mean? Like, it's bright in here, you know what I mean? Like, roaches have scattered. So I feel like the light that I've seen is like the light where the roaches are like, yo, why are you so loud? You feel me? And that has been inspiring. So if that's a way to answer that question, I would say that's my experience right now, just in terms of things that I already knew. What I appreciate, though, is, again, that the light is on and the roaches are scattering around. And I feel like the roaches in the context of this conversation is really like a bunch of cats who've been mega messy. Can I swear?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. It's like a bunch of cats.
Swearing.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
Cool. I'm like, I don't know who the audience is for this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we doing? So,
This is for children only.
okay, sorry, kids. You know what I mean? I always have to apologize to kids. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, no, I feel like the roaches are like the messy motherfuckers who have been getting away with trash in the light. You know what I'm saying? Or, you know, in the pre-pandemic shit. And now it's like, yo, like people who were like being willfully ignorant to, like, you know, how terrible racism was, how terrible homophobia was, how terrible, like, all of these different sort of isms and et cetera have been, and the experience of, you know, historically marginalized or historically disenfranchised communities, like, those motherfuckers had the light turned on, and they've had to scatter and figure it out and, like, you know, coat their shit in something else. And that has been exciting to me. It's been really fun to sort of like try to step on some of the roaches. We haven't, you know, been able to kill all of them because they're fast as fuck, and they're like, you know, they go and they fucking have more little roach babies and shit. But it's been fun to, like, you know, it's like Joe's apartment on some shit. You feel me? So, yes.
Yeah, word.
I'm loving all those
That's a
analogies.
good visual. Yeah, I can see it. I was gonna ask you, like, obviously in the wake of the murder of George Floyd, I mean, a lot of shit came up. You alluded to that. Can you just speak on some of the changes you've noticed locally in the wake of, you know, George Floyd, Dante, right? Like, what changes have you seen, or what haven't you seen?
I was gonna say, man, like, this is mad inspiring, and I'm not gonna be that guy on the show. It's just not. So this is the thing, man. I think, like, someone else will be the hopeful and inspiring guest on your show. It won't be me. You know what I'm saying? Just like, I just want to say it's not going to be me, because I don't think that a lot has changed. I'm going to be honest with you. What I think has happened is a lot of the bullshit that, you know, Minnesota has been, it's like this Minnesota nice culture, this like, you know, we're very accepting, we're really open, we're a liberal state, and black people do just fine here. Look, we have Prince, and Janet Jackson likes it here, and the Mall of America, and, you know, all that shit. And then it's like, you know, like, honestly, yo, I travel often, right? And motherfuckers are like, yo, Minnesota's like that? Like, for real? It's like, yeah, so I'm a hip hop kid, right? It reminds me of like what happened when The Message came out, where like motherfuckers in other parts of the world were like, yo, the US is like that? Dog, all I ever seen was like picket fences and like nuclear families and shit. I thought everybody had motherfucking 2 kids and a dog and like some green pastures and shit. It was looking like hella Statue of Liberty over there, like 4th of July every day in this bitch. And like now, nah. So I feel like that's what happened to Minnesota. It was like, whoa, I didn't even know black people was in Minnesota like that. Now, you know, again, Prince, Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, you know, whatever, like all of that shit, right? And it's like, okay, whoa, so there's a lot of black people, not a lot, statistically, there's not a lot of whatever. But, okay, so there's black folks in Minnesota, and they're being treated like shit. Whoa, and like, then you hear these, our ancestors, their names come up, right? Because, yeah, man, we gotta honor George Floyd, we gotta honor Dante Wright, we also have to honor Terrence Franklin, we also have to honor Jamar Clark, we also have to honor Philando Castile, and so on and so on and so on. Peace to all of the ancestors, you feel me? And this has been happening. So for me, I'm not necessarily seeing too much of a change happening here. What I'm seeing is a pattern that was brought to light. And what I'm seeing after that, with a lack of change in laws, motherfuckers too scared to do the radical thing and make the radical choice, motherfuckers still getting pushed into office, motherfuckers who have hella power, puppeteering the people of color who are in positions of power to make sure that laws and systems and structural shit still has us trapped in these same or worse circumstances into the future. And this, again, as a hip-hop kid, I'm looking at housing, I'm looking at infrastructure, you know what I'm saying? The building of these highways. Yes, I'm still talking my shit about this highway. If anybody's watching this, fuck the fucking highways coming through the hood. Always and forever, because they did that shit already. So we're just doing the same thing that we've done to poor and disenfranchised people. Oh, it's on repeat. It's a loop. It's a remix. It's like cats that studied hip hop and they're like, oh shit, let's sample this shit. Let's remix this shit. They did this shit in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s and the 70s to these motherfuckers. Let's do it again. It's 2021. What? You know what I'm saying? That's what it feels like to me. So I'm watching this shit happen in terms of the infrastructure. I'm watching this shit happen in terms of jobs, and the pandemic didn't do anything but like speed that shit up. It's that's the other thing for me, right? So like we don't have jobs right now. The thing, right? So it's like folks, even with advanced degrees, but people of color not being able to be hired in certain situations and so on and so forth. And then you have small businesses that are like owned by mom and pops and motherfuckers from around the way who are like, I'm hella down to hire somebody with a criminal record. I'm not afraid of a phenotypically black motherfucker. I love phenotypically black motherfuckers. Please come work here. They're out of business because of the panoramic. You know what I'm saying? So like phenotypically black people who most motherfuckers are scared of, the fucking other 90% of the motherfuckers who live in Minnesota who are anti-black, even if they are people of culture, let's talk about it, those motherfuckers don't want to hire us either. So we're out of work at a rate in which we weren't out of work pre-pandemic, pre the murder of George Floyd and Dante Wright. So I think, you know what I'm saying, really not a lot has changed. It's changed kind of a little bit for the worse. We got some people in office, and I, hope that they continue to strive for the best on our behalf. And I think the people behind those people and the people with more money who have more decision-making power and so on and so forth are pulling these kinds of strings that are like deep-rooted and widespread and happening all over the country, and we're a piece in this larger puzzle. That's what I feel like is happening, but it doesn't feel like a change.
Are you running for office anytime soon?
Yo, the office of like the office of nah. Yeah. Yeah, first lady of that motherfucker. First person.
So
seriously, okay, I'm focused.
No, no, I agree with you about a lot of that, because I feel like there were a lot of situations. There were certain situations that I got put into that like almost just like reminded me of like, hey, you are a black person in Minnesota, and I'm like, I don't want to like think about just myself as a Black person, but thinking about myself as just like I'm an artist. I'm like just trying to put out like what it is that my passion is, instead of like always being, having to be put into certain situations just because of me being like a female person of color. So I wanna talk to you about, like, you wear a lot of hats. You are you're an artist, you're an educator, you got your organization and everything. How do you balance all those hats? And yeah, let's start with that. How do you balance all those hats, especially with everything going on in the pandemic and how things have changed?
That's a really good question. I think that I am Tish Jones. I think that that's really what it is, and I think the rest of that stuff is like, it somehow has something to do with that. That's not really articulate and clear because I'm coming up with it off the dome right now. So like in my mind, there's a bunch of equations and shit that make it make more sense. But I mean, yeah, I think that the balancing thing is a hard question because I think that I just exist in the truth of who I am as a person, right? Like I think that I know my purpose. I feel like since I was younger, it's my purpose or mission, or what I feel like has been spoken to me by my elders and ancestors, is, really being intentional about the education and liberation of Black children. Mm-hmm. Like that's what it is, and that's what it has always been for me, right? And in and through the arts and our cultural practices. So I think I just like live in that lane, and the other stuff is stuff that happens as a way of me like walking in my purpose. And like what I love about being Black is that we're a rhythmic fucking people. We're an artistic people. So if I'm making some art, I'm making some art. If I'm dancing, I'm dancing. If I'm spitting, I'm spitting. If I'm busting some poems, I'm busting some poems. If I'm in ritual, I'm in ritual. You know what I mean? And I think as an organizer, we're a tribal people. You know what I'm saying? We survive and thrive with a village. So it has also been a part of my life's mission to identify my tribe. So like part of organizing to me has been about, finding and identifying my tribe and being in community with my tribe. So it feels less about like this sort of external, my name is Tish Jones and I'm an organizer and whatever, what I'm saying? It's not like that. It's like, in my personal life, in like my real life, I want to find tribe. I don't want to talk to anyone that I don't trust. I don't want to build with anyone that I don't trust. And if my mission is around like liberation and education of, Black children, I want to be in community with motherfuckers who are trying to advance the mission. You know what I'm saying? And like, whenever we're chilling, whatever we're doing, we trying to advance the mission, even if that is like, self-care. Like we're laughing and we're kicking it. That's a part of it. We have to be well so that we can make sure the other motherfuckers are well. You feel me? If it's about organizing towards a different thing, like, in the last year, some of the things that people have seen me doing the most in community have been around this anti-gentrification work in regard to the Rondo Land Bridge, which I think is a terrible idea. That has been some of the stuff that folks have seen me do. And it's not because I'm Tish Jones, the whoever people think I am. It's because I'm a descendant of old Rondo. It's because I got people there. I got family there. I got friends there. I got homies there who they family lost their house already when the freeway was first built. They still haven't recovered from that. You know what I'm saying? Because right now people still don't know the answers to that because the property taxes are gonna skyrocket because we still have projects there because no one Black who's not from the bougie knows what the impact of this thing is going to be because there's not a lot of information, but motherfuckers are asking for $460 million to make it happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've seen that before. So that's not me putting on some sort of hat or thinking about a role I play in community. That's like, yo, tribe, how do we feel about this? What do we know about this? Like, what do we what does it look like for us to live, survive, and thrive in this place? And how do we come together to do that? What does it look like to ask for transparency, to ask for some real conversation, to ask for some information so that we can make informed decisions about our lives because we live here, because our kids live here, because the schools that, you know what I'm saying? Like, because when they kick this fucking dust up, it'll be our lungs that are affected by this shit because we live on the freeway. Other motherfuckers don't live off the, you know, that whole shit. So for me, it's less about trying to like balance that shit, but trying to be really clear about what my purpose is and just be who I am in all moments.
Definitely. I want to ask you too, what changes would you like to see in not only Minnesota, but just like in our country in general? Like what do you think would actually like help our situation, which I mean like is a broad question, but yeah.
I would like to see people be really real about their fear of black people, and I would like to see them get over that shit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Have a conversation with a black person. James Baldwin said that ignorance breeds apathy, and he was talking about that in the context of like, you know, in that time, it was a lot of conversations around white people and black people, but I think this is across the board. 'Cause there's anti-blackness in so many other communities, and a lot of it, I agree with James Baldwin, has to do with like ignorance, just motherfuckers not knowing about black people, how black people exist and live, or that black people are not who they've been taught to think that black people are. You know what I mean? Like we're not violent or aggressive, or all the other stereotypes that come with how people think about a phenotypically black person. So yeah, my shit is like, holler at a black. That's what I want to see. I want to see an end to anti-blackness. I want to see people not be scared and actually go have a conversation with a black person and spend some time with a black person. And also, don't fucking do that. Just get over your shit. Because also, that's really taxing. I don't even like talking to people too much, to be honest with you. It's really difficult for me. I'm very like socially awkward and shit. So don't talk to me per se, because I'm not good at talking to people. I'm not the person. You should talk to a black person who likes to talk to people, who's outgoing and friendly and that whole thing. And also make some space for the fact that shit is emotionally taxing. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, but maybe read some things. See it, you know, read a book by black, whatever the fuck. Just like engage with black people so that we can like, you know, get past this anti-blackness that's been bred into us that harms us. That's what I would say. I want to see that.
Hell yes. No, I completely agree with you with everything that you said, because I feel like if we just had more conversations with people around just these topics, with people of color, and like everybody's experience as a person of color, like if we just had more conversations about it, we'd realize like we can understand each other more. Not necessarily fix, but just understand and like figure out where each of us is coming from.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Also, I wanted to talk. So, you are a spoken word poet, and that is very closely related to hip hop. With, you know, poetry is like almost the basis of hip hop and rap. Do you see there being more of an integration with those genres over time? And like, yeah.
So I am of the belief and of the section of folks who sees the separation, but also sees the lack of separation, right? So in terms of the etymology of hip-hop, you can't talk about where hip-hop came from without talking about Gil Scott-Heron, without talking about Amiri Baraka, without talking about the Last Poets, without talking about Etheridge Knight. So, you know, when you talk to certain heads about what it means to be within that specific element of being an MC, you hear terms like, you know, being an MC as in a person who raps, but also being an MC as in a master of ceremony. Also, you know what I'm saying, the art of MCing having to do with divine speech, with freestyle, with being an extemporaneous artist, with using words, with being a poet, with practicing spoken word, etc. So I'm of the ilk of people who see the influence that poetry, and specifically like beat poetry, and, you know, specifically like black poetics and the tradition of black literary arts, and how it fed into and gave birth to what we call the modern day MC. So yeah, there's an integration.
Have you seen any of that happen here in Minnesota? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, right? So like when we talk about even the first Cats on Wax, like the IRM crew, which were like the first Cats on Wax here in the state of Minnesota, a lot of the cats who rock the mic are poets. So that's part of the thing to me is like, I think people try to, people have to classify things. That's the way to commodify things. That's the way to like do this sort of separatist thing and make, be divisive or whatever. But like, it's an entire cultural practice. Like it's all rooted into one. You can't separate hustle from hip hop because the first party was a party to hustle enough money for school clothes. So the entrepreneur is as important to hip hop as the DJ because the DJ was the entrepreneur. You know what I'm saying? So, it's a similar thing with like these MCs, like the MCs were getting a lot of their game from the OG poets, right? Or the MCs began as poets and then put their stuff to beats. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Yes, it's also definitely here, for sure.
Awesome.
Did TruArtSpeaks come from a place where you saw a vacuum and you're like, I need to make this shit because I just don't see it happening otherwise. You know what I'm saying? Did you just like see a thing and you're just like, I want to make that thing because I don't see it in this space?
I mean, the real is that it started from a need for safer spaces, and specifically safer spaces for young people. Like, when I was a shorty and starting this thing, there was a lot of, pedophilia in the community that was popping off. It was mega under wraps. There was a lot of exploitation in terms of, like, people who understood, adult folks who understood that there was a bag to be made behind young people sharing their stories on stage. And it was like during the uptick of social justice theater programs and so on and so forth and the whatnots. And also this sort of, in a national context, this sort of rise of like youth spoken word in a national and international context. So there was folks who was getting a bag, right? Behind these young people doing their thing, myself included in this community. And the young people were not seeing a portion of the bag. And if they were seeing a portion of the bag, it was like, you know how Scrooge McDuck used to like, he might flick you a whoop-de-whoop, you know what I'm saying? But he got the whole John. Yeah. It was like that. It was like a whole lot of the little, ducks are good too, because it was, anyway, ducks and quacks. Anyway, so it's like, yeah, it was like that. So that was part of it. But then also violence. So it was like this intersection of all these things. It was like, the need for safer spaces for young people to do their thing without being taken advantage of, and the idea that we could do it ourselves, because I started the organization when I was young. You know what I mean? I was still a teenager when I started the organization. So there's that. And then there was, in 2006, the year that I started the organization, there was also, Minneapolis had the third highest murder rate per capita in the country by August of that year. And a few of my friends had been killed that year. And I had this position that was not healthy, but I had a position in community where I had to log all of the murders that took place in North Minneapolis and speak at the vigils, right? And knowing some of the people who were killed at that time, it was really traumatic, really unhealthy, but it was like, how do you engage with a young poet in these like professional, whatever, it was just mad unhealthy shit. So it was like a little bit of that of like, yo, how do I, like trying to figure out like, how do I use my art in a way where I'm not gonna go crazy, where this doesn't feel performative, where like there's some sort of change that's happening and not like, this sort of, the best word for it is like this performative, cultural thing. It's not really a real thing, you know what I mean? Like, and it's just mad unhealthy, and it seems really transactional. And then the third component being like seeing a potential, seeing like an opportunity, like to answer these questions through a cultural practice or an organization of young people who could do it themselves, right? Who were thinking about alternative ways to express ourselves, to shift culture in our communities, to speak back to local politics, etc. That was through seeing B-Girl B, experiencing B-Girl B. I had experienced it in 2005, so the year before I started the org, But B Girl B was the first international celebration of women in hip hop, and it happened here in '05 at Intermedia Arts, and it was started by women that I love and respect, and am still loving, respecting, and working with, right? So I was able to be a part of that, as well as my attendance at Brave New Voices International Youth Poetry Festival. I went again for the first time in 2005, so it was a year again before I started the organization. And what I saw in those spaces was like potential. I'm like, okay, cool, hip hop. I know hip hop. I know, I'm a woman. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I helped, do this small little piece of organizing for me. Yeah, I could do that. That's tight. I'm like meeting all these really dope folks, you know what I mean? Like somewhere in there, '05 or '06, I met Roxanne Shante, you know what I mean? I met Medusa, like I met Two Fly, you know what I'm saying? Like just like, what, you know what I mean? Like hella powerful women. Rockefeller, you know what I mean? Like just really dope, powerful women in the culture that I already, you know what I mean? I knew, like, I could touch you. I've been looking at you on the screen. I could touch, oh, tight. And then with Brave New Voices, it was affirmation that there's a whole cadre of young people around the world who are trying to, like, navigate this thing and figure it out. So it started, it was like a blend of that big old pot of, like, of need, of affirmation in my brilliance as a young person, of affirmation of my brilliance as a woman of culture, and a desire to like think about my work in a more radical way, and like not move in my practice as a performer, right? But move in my practice as an artist and a cultural practitioner, and someone who is being really intentional about where I exercise my voice. So yeah, maybe lack, maybe need, maybe a mix of all of the above.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate you. I had to put that in a PowerPoint. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's successful. It's like a lot of words on a PowerPoint.
I bet. Yeah. So what's next? Yeah.
Oh man.
I know you got a lot of shit going on.
I mean, on the performance tip, I've got, I don't know when this airs, so this might be dated by the time that this airs, but whatever. On the performance tip, I've got a show coming up at Ice House with people that I love. That's, you know what I mean? That's what's up. So here's what's next. What's next is, like, I'm doing shit with people I love. You know what I mean? Like, I want that for all artists. This is me having a soapbox moment on your show. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Soapbox moment is like, yo, because sometimes as artists we say yes and we like, oh man, we gotta feed the whoop-de-whoop, we gotta pay the la-la-la. It's a struggle because it is. I feel really blessed and super privileged, and I'm, like, I want to sit in like the gratitude that I have that like I get to spend time with people that I love. I get to create with people that I love. I do also have those moments where I have to like, figure out, do I take this gig because I want to pay a bill or because I want to whatever? And like, that's a thing to contend with. And I hope that we all get to a place where we don't have to do that. You know what I mean? Where we can just create whatever and be artists. And I hope for that as a change. I hope that artists are supported differently and respected differently. And I hope that coming out of the pandemic, right? So like Minnesota State Arts Board, they like drastically changed the way that they were supporting artists once the pandemic hit. And by drastically changed, I mean they kind of stopped. You know what I'm saying? Like, they kind of were like, well, we're going to cut these 12 programs down to 2 because the pandemic. And it was like, what? And everybody got together and like wrote a letter, and the letter was basically like, what? And then like, other organizations were like, what? And now they're like offering more support or whatever, but it was still, it's like, yo, that's such a critical organization for the sustainability of artists in this community. So like what I hope for a change is that people start to invest in artists, like people who have, extra, have excess means, who are, whatever. If you can support an artist, invest in an artist, make a donation to an artist, buy an artist's work, go to an artist show, buy a ticket for a homie, whatever. Because to the point of what's next, I'm playing with people I love, man. And I'm so excited to do that. Like, I got a gig coming up with Elder Douglas Ewart, you know what I'm saying? who made the George Floyd bunt staff. You know what I'm saying? Like, he made an instrument in honor of Brother George Floyd. That's what artists do. You know what I mean? Like, it's this phenomenal sound, and he made it with his hands to honor the ancestor. You know what I'm saying? And he plays that joint to honor our ancestor in this place. That's, you know what I'm saying? I get to play with him, and I get to play with Manquay and Dosi. And Manquay saved my life once. Legit. Manquay saved my life once.
Say more.
That's it.
Okay.
Manquay saved my life once, dog. Like, no, for real. Like, I was in a situation, and Manquay came and, like, scooped me up. She saved my life. And I get to play with Manquay. You know what I'm saying? So, like...
Manquay's dope.
Manquay's dope. Manquay's dope. Manquay's a healer. Manquay has been holding space at the memorial, right? Manquay, just on the strength of who Manquay is. Manquay has been holding space for our ancestors, for us and our ancestors. You know what I'm saying? I get to play with her. You know what I mean? Like, that, for me, Babatunde, like, Kevin Walsh, I get to play with all these really dope folks. So there's that. I'm doing that. Then I have a show at Walker West where I just get to play. I get to do an hour set. I'm really excited about that. Doing this thing at the Kennedy Center. So, like, I think that's what's next. What's next is, like, I just want to continue to be open to receive invitations to do meaningful work to honor our ancestors, to contribute to the necessary change in the way that folks are looking at Black folks specifically, in the way that folks are looking at Native folks specifically, and in the way that folks are looking at other people of culture. I'm excited to continue to answer that call. I want to bring my best self to those collaborations. So I think that's what's next for me, is being intentional about that. And then on the work tip, like, same. Everything I just said, same. I'm about to just answer the call to, like, you know what I'm saying, continue to fight for our liberation, you know what I mean, and to continue to encourage people to dream freely and wildly, and to be radical in the things that they imagine for our well-being as Black, Native, and people of culture in this place. Because, I mean, everything about how we exist here in those identities is about stopping us from dreaming. Right?
Right? Like, seriously. I just want to say thank you for coming up here. You said you weren't going to be inspirational, and here you are being inspirational. Like, everything that you came up here just being true and real. Like,
I appreciate you.
Yeah. We appreciate you.
That's why I said we gotta get her. Like, I've been a fan of Tish ever since I found out about her. You know what I'm saying? She's been my hero for a long time.
Give thanks, Bridger.
You know, I'm always inspired. It's crazy.
Mutual is the feeling, as Douglas says. Mutual is the feeling.
I'm just trying to be like you when I grow up. I mean, that's the realness.
Give thanks.
It's like, I think that what's inspiring for me is like you said, walking your truth, like fucking just doing your art. And I think I'm like, I want to do that shit. You know what I'm saying? I love my job as an educator, and also big part of why I took that job, it's a steady fucking paycheck. Because goddamn, it's hard to make a living as an artist.
Yeah.
Goddamn, it's hard.
Yeah.
You know. But I remember you saying like, no, you could do that shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like, no, for real. I'm like, come on, get out of here.
I still believe that. That's why I
Okay.
tried to throw the alley-oop the other day, Fimo, because I believe that. I hope it works out. Yep. It's all good. We don't have to talk about it right now. I just hope it works out.
I'll take your word for it. If
Yeah.
you say so, I believe you.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, accepting the invitations
Yep.
is part of it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, when the good shit pops off, saying yes to the good shit, walking on faith, like believing, you know what I'm saying, that you got people who are looking out for you. I remember, man, one of my mentors, man, like, he said, you know, his ancestors, like, prayed for him before he got here. You know what I mean? And, like, that's the thing that he thinks about every day, is that someone prayed for him and his existence, right? In their journey to survive in their body, they were actually thinking about their offspring. And, you know, we hear all the time, like, I'm my ancestors' wildest dreams or whatever. And, like, that shit is so real. And, like, yeah. So, you know, somebody is, you know what I'm saying? When it comes, it's coming for a reason. Yeah.
I got nothing else. I'm just speechless, you know. I don't know. You got anything?
Well, I said what I said because I seriously just love every part of you. Like, you're fantastic.
Yeah,
like, I
thanks.
just love your realness. And so with that, thank you so much, Tish, for being on here.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me come up here
Yes.
and answer the first question by talking about roaches.
I
I
love
had no idea that was going to happen. I'm glad that it went all the ways that it went. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, once again, Tish Jones, y'all, thank you so much. Yeah.
Give thanks.
Hello, my name is Anastasia Ellis, and this song is called Myllifluous. If you're wondering what Myllifluous means, sweet, really angelic sounding sounds, that's the definition of it. I don't know, a boy said it one time in a song, and I had a crush on him, and well, now I'm kind of stealing the word, so here you go. Oh, pretty boys always got me acting crazy. If you're nerdy, it's a plus and maybe dating. I wanna keep my heart open for a baby, but have mercy on me cause my heart is changing. Toxic ain't my main thing, but he wanna pull up cause my ass looking amazing. Oh, hello, I think you're really cute. I bet he wanna get in my juice. You said mellifluous, my lips got ticklish. Oh, you look like my ex, well I should go. You said mellifluous, my lips got ticklish. Oh, you look like my ex, well I should. No, you're amazing, my heart is craving. It's not your fault that I got a type. Oh, mellifluous, my lips got ticklish. Oh, you look like my ex, well I should go. And if you like the way I walk right and left it, if I'm interested, I'll let you walk behind it. All musicians really used to be my main thing, but I'm competitive, I wish he played on my team. Hope you follow your dreams, but he wanna pull up cause my nipples looking at him. Oh, hello, I know I'm such a goof. He still wanna get in my juice. You said mellifluous, my lips got ticklish. Oh, you look like my ex, well I should go. You said mellifluous, my lips got ticklish. Oh, you look like my ex, well I should. No, you're amazing, my heart is craving. It's not your fault that I got a type. Oh, mellifluous, my lips got ticklish. Oh, you look like my ex, well I should go. He tight. Pointy nipples can supply. Pointy nipples can supply, babe. Why you looking at my thighs? Thought you said that I should hide, babe. Cover up, live in disguise. Learn how to be ladylike, hey. Independent, use a child. Why you tryna act 30? I'ma need some therapy. Oh, I'ma need need some, I'ma need some, I'ma need some hand and weed. Oh, I'ma need my life. Thought that I should die. I'm fucking up my life just to hear you say hi. These thoughts in my head, creeping and sneaking my head, sleep away just to stop the nonsense. High blood in despair, you hold grudges there. Will you ever just love who I am? Oh, pointy nipples can supply hairy tummy, hairy thighs. Yes, I'll show 'em all tonight. Booty shorts, my thighs are high. Twerk circle